So, we started a new arc. It's a new year. We've been playing Fading Suns now for almost a full year. Now you got all these sessions under your belt. We launched the stream, I believe, in May, and we've been playing. We started with you guys in March or April with the pre-stream games.
Huh.
Right? So, what are your thoughts on Fading Suns as a system? What are your thoughts on Fading Suns as a setting? What are your kind of general takeaways at almost a year of play with the Kickstarter kind of imminent? I figured that's how we would end the first session of the year.
I really enjoy the setting, because it's two things you recognize: space from all the different sci-fi systems and games and shows and movies, along with medieval. So you can also think of knights and the clergy and nobles, and so it's a fun way to take the two, smash them together, but you know both of those. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed the setting quite a bit.
What have you thought about the setting, Abby?
It's very different from anything I probably could have imagined, even with all the initial descriptions. I kind of echoing what Becca said. I like that mashup of the medieval hierarchy systems and then sci-fi
setting.
Yeah.
I think it's been fun to play in a system that's not anti-institutions. So, because of the medieval hierarchy, there are guilds, and the guilds are good, or are supposed to be good.
Right.
And there is a church, and the church is supposed to be good, but it's not. It feels like sometimes a lot of games are like, well, forget the institutions, all institutions are bad, whereas this system kind of has you figuring out how to navigate them.
Yes.
And saying not all systems are bad, but what do you do with corruption? What do you do with champions? What do you do with faith or with particular skill sets, and honing those rather than, well, I'm just going to go do it on my own and not rely on anything else, just my pluck and my rolls.
Yeah, that's one of the things that attracted me most to this game, even back in the day, that one, it assumes that, like you said, hierarchies, institutions are going to be a part of human nature, but also that it's a game. There's a strong when the game comes out and you get to read through the rule book, the rules explanations are actually called homilies, and why and how the system was put together reflects the in-game belief systems. And so many science fiction, if they lean into a medieval trope, it goes grim dark very quickly. And even though Fading Suns is titled again after what's possibly the most terrifying thing for someone living in the universe, the stars are going out. To me, it feels like it's a game about faith and a game about hope. And those are two of the tropes we've been trying to lean into with the campaign.
Yeah.
So you two have primarily played, I think all of you have primarily played D20 fantasy, D&D, Pathfinder, 13th Age, that sort of thing. What are your thoughts on the system? We've got about a year under our belt of playing it. There have been minor rule changes across the playtest and across the stream, but I feel like how we're playing now is at least, apologies if I'm doing something wrong, 90% what the rules are going to be when we see them launched on Kickstarter here soon. What has your experience been with the rules? What are your thoughts on it? Your character creation, the way you're playing your characters, that sort of thing.
When it comes to the rules, it's not as fiddly, if you want to use that word, as some other systems where it's I roll, I add, and then I compare to your roll and your add. This is let me just determine the target number and attempt to roll underneath. It can get a little fiddly when you're trying to change the target number with your victory points,
or when resistances
come up. But generally, it's Alright, here's a number. I know I'm going to be aiming for around 15 anytime I fight. I can bump it with these things, but
Yeah.
I know I'm okay with, like...
Yeah.
And also, there's less ways to round out your character. In that, bless her, Gemma is never going to be the academic. Whereas in other systems, it feels like there are ways to tweak that.
I mean,
And sure, you can play into your weaknesses,
Yeah.
but it feels like this is much more limited in what I can do to tweak that. And so I have to rely on the other players at the table with me
in the troop, yeah.
to do that. Whereas Jexa trying to punch someone, unless, you know, we give her the gene therapy. Hey, it's to me it feels more that you have to rely on your teammates. It's not finding magical items that'll buff your this or taking time off. Like, I could bump it, but does that make sense? Like, it's harder to kind of get that maxed out character.
Yeah.
Well,
so to speak.
in the class that you choose, so we're in the priest class, there are perks that only apply to the priest class. And so you will never get something from the merchant's class, like Jexa, my engineer. She has perks that are awesome and...
Yeah, they're much easier for you to get.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, you can get perks in the merchant's class, or you can get perks in the priest class, but you don't generally cross.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, one of them, like, we were talking about how we can take one weird point, turn it into 3 VP. That is all the priests are ever going to be able to do. Jexa the engineer can flip that, but that's a merchant thing, and only a merchant thing.
Right, you could pick it up, but it would be you'd have to have a story justification.
Yeah,
It's a lot harder to grab a bunch of things. It's very focused, which is fun. Like, Gemma's the first time I've ever played a tank, and it's fun to be able to do that. But then there's those moments where I'm like, what Maddie wants to do does not correlate with what Gemma has the ability to do. So okay, but it's in some ways weirdly fun to be penned in and go, yeah, this is
not the normal.
This is not the normal. This is what I'm good at. I need the other people at the table to round.
For
round
sure.
it out.
Yeah, it's been interesting playing with just the two of us and going, man, if Alestra was here, if Calypso was here, like...
Yeah.
Now, what about you, Abby? Like,
I found it actually really complicated to try and learn the how you roll, how it works with the VP, the weird points, like even using the revivals and surges. I found it very complicated to learn, but once it was learned, it's a lot easier to do. Like, yes, I still have to ask, like, what characteristic and skill am I using for this thing? But I don't know if I'll ever have all those memorized.
totally okay.
So, like, playing it now is really fun, and I actually have trouble going back to other games. I'm like, wait, I can't do this? I can't mix and match these things and roll for them? You can only use one thing? What is this nonsense? So, yeah.
Yeah, for me, it was interesting to watch you guys learn the VP system. That rolls generate victory points that allow you to actually be good in the moment that you want to be good. Like, you have your stats on your sheet, but you have this ability to affect the rolls. You as the players have much more control over your rolls than I have seen in other games where it's just like, hey, that's the number you need. That's the number you need. Like, you can be going, well, no, I'm going to surge. I'm going to make sure that I like get plus 10 to this roll because this is the roll that matters to me in this moment.
And you still eat it.
And you still eat it. You roll 2 20s and JM just cackles with glee. Well, cool. Are you guys like? I hope you're looking forward to the Ravenwatch arc. You guys get to play completely different characters, but you do know that when it comes around,
oh yeah,
you'll have a pre-gen character to make.
Oh yeah.
And actually, just as a hint, your pre-gen character will be a member of our guest star's retinue. And so you will get to interact with the guest star going forward with that. So,
What is this?
I know, right? We got plans. We got plans for 2020.
Plans and schemes.
Oh boy.
Also, I believe that we're going to try and have Lee, who normally plays Calypso, run a 1 or 2 shot for you guys with pre-gen characters, kind of her take on Fading Suns. So that should be a lot of fun as well. So we got lots of plans for you here on the channel. We've got Torg and Fading Suns by Ulysses. On Fridays, we have Adventures in Geberkan, and on Mondays, we have Becca running our 13th Age games. So thank you for watching. Tune in. Follow us here. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on YouTube. Yeah, we'll be back next week with more Fading Suns. To the new people who have been in chat and just keeping our producer entertained and engaged, I really appreciate that. Welcome aboard. Welcome to Fading Suns. As we've mentioned, we do have a lot of background episodes that if you want to see what brought them to this disastrous mess.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. So I'm JM. I've been the GM. This is the crew of Operation Ravenwatch, and we will be back in a week.